They said it was a homebrew sedative, a desperate measure. The doctors spoke of dirty needles and fumbling hands, but all I remember is the sting and the world tilting on its axis. Now everything has changed. I woke up in my apartment, my head throbbing, my mouth tasting like rust. Thirst consumed me, but nothing could quench it. Then came the vomiting, a black bile that shimmered with unnamed colors. The smell of copper filled my nostrils, and my face throbbed with a forgotten pain. My reflection showed swollen fingers, numb skin, and small, gaping sores around my mouth. Something was terribly wrong. Breakfast became an ordeal. My arms trembled uncontrollably, and my omelet shattered on the floor. The world had turned slippery, my muscles misfiring, my skin foreign to me. I fell down the stairs, and the world dissolved into chaos. At the emergency room, they discovered porous lesions on my stomach, circled by gray, dead flesh. I couldn't bear to touch them. A scream lodged in my throat as my thumbnail pierced my thigh. My legs were pouched in dark, swollen pockets of pus. I could feel nothing but an impossible pressure. My fingers worked on their own, flayed and loosed until bone showed and the flesh sloughed like wet paper. "Ah!" A nurse screamed, and the world narrowed to this grotesque choreography of disintegration. They put me in a private room, hooked to monitors that beeped like a countdown. And then I saw him, the man in the suit, watching me from outside the window. I told myself I was paranoid, but the nurses whispered. The doctors argued in hushed tones, and their phones hummed with calls I couldn't hear, but could feel, pressing against my ears. The transformation stole me piece by piece. Thighs became riddled with holes, then muscle, then blackened bone. My fingers thickened, clawed, and then their skin fell away. Pain became a concept from the past. Now there was only a grotesque choreography of disintegration. My jaw loosened and something crowded the gums. New teeth, thin and sharp. I dreamed of the homeless man and the man in the suit, whispering, exchanging a syringe and a nod. A hand that did not tremble. Rain made soft lines down the pane as I watched the man in the suit walk across the hospital lawn, his face carved into a hard coin by the streetlight. He never knocked. He only watched. They restrained me because I tried to stop a doctor from seeing the marks on his arm. My flailing scared him. I remember apologizing in a voice that sounded like a child's. Iron wrought and the sharpness of a blade, of panic rising in me. When I lashed out, the blackened bone of my fingers broke free, tearing something through the room. Someone screamed, and the world narrowed to two things: the strap against my ribs and an acute animal hunger that was not mine and had been growing since the syringe. They told me the homeless man had died quickly. The man in the suit had asked to be killed. I had been contagious. They spoke in polite, passive voice, as if words could disinfect a room. Now I lie in a bed that will not hold me. My ribs are exposed, knuckled, and black with new growths that reach like roots. My organs have become small things tethered to a humming backbone. I can see my hands from the corner of my eyes sometimes. Long, thin, eager. When I try to remember, there's only a smear where memory used to be. A smear that looks unsettlingly like a fingerprint. Some nights, the man in the suit comes close enough to be a shape in the glass. He watches and does not touch. Sometimes I think it was never the syringe he gave, but a look. A promise, or something transferred by the small, careless mercy of a hand that handed him change. They told me I was infected, that I would die. Maybe I already have. When the straps finally give, when the hospital room flares like a lantern and the world opens like a throat, I will not know if I will be myself on the other side. All I know is the watching, at the gas station, in the hospital, in the blank windows. The man who watched has taught me how to be watched back. They believed that I would die in that hospital bed. They thought I'd rot away. A cautionary tale for those who offer kindness in the dark. They were wrong. The hunger grew, not for food, but for something darker, something primal. My teeth ached, sharpened, ready to tear. The world looked different, smelled different, like a feast waiting to be devoured. The suit man. He still watched, but now there was a flicker of fear in his eyes. He knew what I had become, what I was capable of. He was no longer the hunter, but the prey. The hospital became my hunting ground. The nurses, the doctors, the other patients, they were all just meat. A symphony of screams echoed through the halls. I left a trail of blood and terror, a grotesque masterpiece painted on the sterile white walls. They would never forget what happened here. The city became my playground, a sprawling buffet of unsuspecting souls. I blended into the shadows, a nightmare walking among the living. The watched had become the watcher. They were the ones now feeling the cold gaze, the creeping fear, the certainty of being hunted. Some tried to fight, some tried to run, but none could escape the hunger. It was an insatiable void, a darkness that consumed everything in its path. They would tell stories about me, whisper my name in hushed tones. I would become a legend, a monster lurking in the shadows waiting to claim its next victim. But the man in the suit, the one who started it all, he remained elusive. He hid in the shadows, watching, waiting, perhaps even hoping to become the watched once more. And so I continue to watch, to hunt, to consume. The world is a canvas painted in blood and terror, and I am the artist, forever creating my grotesque masterpiece. The cycle continues. The watched is now the watcher. The transformation is complete. There is no turning back.